bring on. There is nothing like a really loud electric guitar played quietly, and those strings just ring on forever. Hey there, my name is Greg Swan. I run a weblog called selfadoration.com. I wrote a book called Man Alive, a survival manual for the human mind, and this is my third video regaling you with ideas emanating from that book, and I have 4 topics that I want to take up today, and we're going to run through them fairly quickly because I don't want to waste your time, and I figure that briefer I can be, the more likely you are to actually pursue this stuff to the end, and that's what I want you to do. So the first idea I want to talk about is evangelizing egoism. I've been writing about it this week. I've been writing about it fairly often since selfadoration.com started, which is, I guess, 4 Sundays ago, 3 Sundays ago. I can't even tell. I can't. It's not very long. But the idea is that if you want to see the world change, if you want to see the world improve, if you want to live in the kind of a world that you imagine for yourself, nothing is going to change until people change. Because the world that we live in now is the one that people want, essentially. I mean, they don't deliberately want it. They don't explicitly want it. If you asked people, you know, working people with jobs, is it your preference to pay 40, 50, 60% of your income in taxes? Obviously, the answer would be no. Is it your preference to deal with 19 miles of paperwork to make one simple change in your business? Obviously, the answer would be no. And yet, as soon as you say, why don't we repeal this law? Why don't we repeal these regulations? Then people will say, well, we got to have some regulations. And you say, well, you know, obviously the government is corrupt. The regulations that are in place now exist for the benefit of the major players, the big corporations, big banks, big campaign donors. That's what they exist for. The government is corrupt. And so we've got to have some regulation, but who's going to do that regulation? Oh, corrupt people are going to do that regulation, and they're going to do it not for you, but against you. And certainly none of the business regulations or other sorts of economic regulations or other laws in general are for the benefit of ordinary people, are the benefit of real consumers. They're for the benefit of campaign donors. And so what we need then is campaign finance reform. This is Senator John McCain, one of the senators from my state of Arizona. You want to do campaign finance reform? I will tell you how to do campaign finance reform. Let's have a government with nothing to sell. There will be no bribes paid to legislators if they have no power to legislate anything. And if we're looking for that kind of government, then we need to change the voters. And the way that we change the voters is one mind at a time. And that's the purpose of selfadoration.com. That's the purpose of Man Alive. No, frankly, that isn't the purpose, but that is a purpose. That is one of the objectives. The real purpose of manalive.com is for you yourself to learn how to manage your mental resources better so that you are not a victim of demagoguery, which is what we are right now. This is the situation that we're in right now. Nobody wants this. The only people who want this are the ones who are pocketing the proceeds from bribing legislators. But in order to change it, we need for people to understand how much sovereignty, how much of their own indomitable power they are voluntarily giving up to demagogues, to people who enslave them. And so my argument to you is, if you want a better world, talk to your neighbors. It's not something you can vote for. Your vote means nothing. It's not something that is going to happen because some pundits on the internet or in the newspaper or in magazines or whatever, they're not going to achieve this for you. They don't even want it. It's not to their interest for anything to change. It's to their interest for everything to stay the same, for you to think that you're dependent upon them to provide what you need. And in fact, that's completely the opposite of the case. The only person that you need to depend on is the only person you can depend on. That's you. And you need to retake control of your political power. And, well, what's one person going to do? Well, that's a reasonable argument. There are 310 million Americans or something like that, probably 130 million voters. What is 130 millionth of anything? It's nothing. I agree with that completely. But the point is, if you talk to your friends, your family members, your neighbors about how they can retake their sovereign control of their lives. And if they talk to everyone they know, and if all those people talk to everyone they know, in very short order, we will be a majority. And an overwhelming majority, who knows exactly what we want, which is to get all of this crap off of our backs so we can go back to living our own lives, supporting our own families, providing for our own needs, pursuing our own values, and living lives of splendor. And so that's what really needs to change. That the culture of whining about everything that's wrong and trading internet stories around on Facebook or whatever about how disgusting this is and how deplorable that is and how regrettable that is, that won't change anything. All that will change is your attitude. It will make you less capable of pursuing your own values because you'll be saddened, you'll be morose, you'll be in despair. And that's dumb because it's completely ineffectual and it destroys your ability to achieve things in the future. Whereas if you work on your own mind, if you pursue your own values, if you pursue your own values relentlessly, you'll achieve more of what you want, regardless of what anyone else does. And in the meantime, if you're evangelizing egoism with everyone you know and convincing them to pursue their own values, in very short order, it'll be a different world. We'll be dealing with completely different situations because we will have changed the game. And that's the objective of all of this is to change the game for you and for everyone. And this is doable. This is a doable proposition. This is something that we can undertake right now, and we could be done in 500 days. And I figured out when 500 days from now is, and I forget what it is. I think it's like from last Sunday, September 4th, 2013. Just around the corner. I mean, it's easily doable. That might be the wrong date, but 500 days from today, we could be living in a different world.